Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Ammar Enaya. I am the head of Vectra in the Middle East region, and I'm going to drive you today about the NDR technology and how it can optimize your SOC operation through the new concept of the SOC Triad. Let me share my presentation. Okay, so starting with security, everybody must have good prevention system. And a good prevention system starts with the endpoint security, going all the way to the network security, which include firewall and sometimes NAC. And then it ends with good visibility solutions such as a SOC. And between network and edge point, you should have good prevention and also good detection. So this is how your security should look like from an endpoint perspective, from a data center perspective, and anything in between, including the IoT and the OT. However, we have a security gap here. The security gap is that no matter how strong is your EDR and how strong is your firewall and network prevention system, a hacker can sometimes go beyond the perimeter security and enter the network. And you can think of zero-day attacks, deliberate attacks, or maybe an insider attack. But at the end, there is a very, low chance that a hacker can come inside the network. And here, where the detection will play a very important role to give you visibility in near real time of the attack, so that you can detect it and you can respond to it. And as you know, even though you have good EDR system, you cannot put the EDR on every endpoint machine you have, especially IoT and OT. And sometimes you have the insider attack, which can also hurt the network. What is the solution? Visibility through the network. Only the network can provide you full visibility of any possible breach that entered the network. And from your knowledge of the breach and the time of your knowledge of the breach, you can respond and you can attack back. Now, detection can include signature-based solutions and can also include AI-based solutions. Why do we care about AI-based solutions? Because they can show you the knowns and the unknowns. As you know, all the AI using applications, it's a mix of data science and security researchers. So the security researcher, he will know the fundamentals of the attacker behaviors, and the data scientist, and this our team of PhD data scientists, they will codify the behaviors and building mathematics and machine learning programs to see those behaviors in real time. Now, security analysts in software can cover 85% of the MITRE attack techniques, which will give you a very high visibility of any possible breach, was it known or unknown. And in the market today, you can see AI applications in threat detection that can cover 5 steps of the kill chain, starting from the botnet to the command and control, the reconnaissance, the lateral, and the exfiltration. Going now to the SOC Triad. So the SOC Triad is all about visibility. So after a strong prevention, you need a strong visibility and detection. And as per Gartner, the optimum SOC should include logging system, the SIEM and the UEBA, and the detection system to stop the attacks at the endpoint, and at the same time, through the AI, adds some feeds to the detection, and the NDR, the network detect and response, which sits behind the EDR, looking for possible breach into the network. And between your SIEM, your EDR, and your NDR, you have an optimum visibility and an optimum SOC. And if you would like to increase your response, you can add a SOAR. So your orchestration will help you to add additional response cycles to respond to any possible attack. You can think of Vectra as one of the leaders in the NDR space here. You can think of CrowdStrike and Microsoft ATP as leaders in the EDR space. You can think of Splunk and Azure Sentinel as leaders in the SIEM space. The SOC Triad should support any combination of EDR, NDR, and SIEM. So security must evolve with the network, because the network will give you visibility into campus and cloud environments. The network will give you solutions that balance visibility with efficiency. It will identify lateral movement and data exfiltration. It will eliminate alert fatigue, and also work on behaviors, not signatures. And that's the perfect combination of an AI and network-based detection solution. Now going to Vectra. Vectra will master detection for you and will give you some response through a lockdown feature that we have part of our detect module. At the same time, Vectra include many predefined APIs to also automate enforcement and automate response. So there are APIs to leader EDRs, leader firewalls, and leader NACs. It has APIs to leader SIEMs, so that you don't need to build the new processes. The NDR and the SIEM will work hand in hand to show the dashboard on the SIEM dashboard itself, and at the same time follow the same ticketing, alert, and processes you have built on your SOC and SIEM. Also, APIs exist to orchestrators that will help you to automate response. Going to the architecture, Vectra NDR consists of a platform and licensing scheme. The platform consists of a brain and sensors. Now, if you would like to use an on-prem brain, that's something Vectra can do. Our brain is fully autonomous and can be isolated from the cloud and from the internet, and will work in free environment. If you would like to have a cloud brain, that's also an option. Now, the brain will sit somewhere in your data center, and you can access it either directly or through the SIEM to see the dashboard. But the most important part of the platform are the sensors. Now, the sensors, they can be physical, they can be virtual, or they can be cloud. We typically put the sensors in a location in the network where we see all north-south traffic and all east-west traffic, so we can get 360-degree visibility to expose attacks fast. And you can add as many sensors as you want. You'd like to add additional physical sensors, additional virtual sensors, and additional cloud sensors. You can add them. You put them in the locations where you would like to sniff, because the sensors are all in a passive mode. The traffic will go to the sensor in a tab or a span or a mirror way. The sensors will capture metadata from the traffic, which is almost 0.5% of the traffic, and will send it to the brain to correlate it. Now, there is always, an upper limit of how many sensors you put per brain, but there should be like hundreds of sensors possible per brain. And automation is the key point here. So there are two key points in a good NDR: AI and automation. And when we talk about automation, look at this example. A network of 10,000 devices, they will generate around 14,000 events. And then when you apply the proper NDR filters, this will make like 600 detections, and the 600 detections will be gathered under 400 host or account. And when you give a score for every event and for every threat, 0 to 100 certainty and 0 to 100 severity, you end up with 63 critical events here. So you can see that you have 34x automation up to the host count and the account count, and almost 300x automation until the critical events. So talking about Vectra, Vectra is a leader in network detect and response, and network detect and response using AI and using automation. So Vectra automates threat detection to near real time using AI. And NDRs that are using AI are very important because unfortunately the attackers are changing their way and the signatures of the attack every minute around the world. So it's better to follow the techniques and follow the attacker behaviors to detect it. And this is something documented by almost all third-party analyst reports in the world. Vectra has delivered to our customers. They first will identify any in-progress attack and prevent breaches. They will give you complete understanding of the attack service. They will optimize the return, the ROI of your investment in the SOC. They will work on the right incident at the right time. They will adapt to security and compliance standards. They will give you seamless integration across technology stack. They will give you visibility also into SaaS applications such as Office 365, and they will securely enable digital transformation for your organization. Vectra works almost in all verticals. Government and financials maybe are the mostly using Vectra, but we are in every vertical, including retail, educational, healthcare, small and large enterprises. Vectra is also recognized very widely, and through a recent poll by Gartner, they found that 97% of the people who use Vectra, they recommend it for others. And we are also one of the top 500 fast-growing technology as per a recent Deloitte poll. These are some testimonies that our customers and third party are giving to Vectra. So you can read about this Gartner. It says, this solution, which is Vectra solution, excels at rolling up numerous alerts to create a single incident to investigate that describes a chain of related activities, rather than isolated alerts that analyst then has to piece together. And this is a key thing that we do in Vectra. So we are a lightweight solution that gives you quick visibility into any breach. And almost every customer we sell to is giving us a good testimony. And you can see all these in the case studies documented on our website. Going back into the company, so Vectra as an idea is 10 years old. As a company, it's 8 years old. We started doing AI way ahead of the market, 4 to 5 years ahead of the market. And our first shipment was done almost 6 years ago. And between that day until now, we have shipped thousands of brains around the world, including hundreds in the Middle East. On top of the platform, Vectra have 4 licensing schemes. So the detect license is where the AI plays the role to give you live detection, and also the lockdown will allow you to automatically or manually lock down an attacker through the Active Directory. The detect license also include all the APIs that will allow you to link to your EDR, firewall, NAC, SIEM, and orchestration. For customers who would like to retain the metadata for historical check or for compliance, you can either recall it by retaining it in the cloud, or you can stream it by retaining it into your own data lake. And the Office 365 license, it allows you to have visibility into your SaaS applications, such as Office 365, so you can see if there is any malicious happening, attack happening by an account stolen or a privilege deviation. There are 2 main use cases for Vectra. So for customers who don't have SOC or don't have SIEM today, Vectra can act as a pre-SOC solution. So it will 24/7 by 365 look for possible breaches in real time, automating them using machine learning and AI. The filters that Vectra deploys, the threat act behaviors, and the host plus account-based detection, and the scoring we give for every detection, it will give you very ultra low noise, ultra low false positive, and also ultra high fidelity of the detections. The detect will allow you to have live detection while retaining the metadata, and building custom models will allow you to have historical detection. And for any threat that Vectra detect, the full BCAP is kept for 6 months. For customers who have SOC and SIEM today, Vectra will act as a SOC optimization tool, so it will independently search for threats and breaches and report them in real time on the SIM dashboard, which will help line one security analysts to focus on critical threats and will add fidelity to the SOC and SIM work finding. This is a quick presentation on the NDR technology, on Vectra, and on the SOC Triad. I would like now to introduce my colleague, Mr. Abdulrazak. Abdulrazak is our technical director for the Middle East, and he would like to run the demo right now for you to show you how this platform works in action. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Ammar. It was very interesting, actually. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Abdulrazak Zahran. I'm taking care of the security engineering for Vectra in the Middle East, Turkey, and North Africa. And I want just to continue on where Ammar already stopped. I will just go on a little bit deep dive from technical perspective on how we can make our life easier in using, the SOC Triad and using the NDR technology for threat hunting. So Ammar was already talking about the security gap that we have nowadays, and Ammar was talking about that there was a very clear problem when it's related only to the prevention type of security, where prevention alone fails. Absolutely, endpoints itself cannot cover all the attack surface. So it's all about visibility, right? And when we are talking about visibility, we are not just talking about visibility to the attack surface, plus we are talking about actually the visibility on the attacker's techniques, because attackers nowadays, they can use techniques on endpoints and they can use techniques on the network level. So the logs itself will not help here because it's a second-hand data, and it doesn't have the behavioral approach, because the logs itself, it's a data that was generated based on the decision of other devices. So this is actually addresses the importance of the network traffic that Ammar was talking about. And that's why nowadays we are talking about the NDR technology that is very important part of the SOC Triad itself. So moving forward, just to talk about the main challenge that we face, there was an interesting studies actually on from third parties on an attacks that was already happened in the world. And the interesting part of this study is that the attack timeline, across the attack timeline, since day 0 from the initial infection until I came to know that I am under attack, it's 99 days, which is the average dwell time of the attacks. And the interesting part here is that from the first 3 days, as an average, the attackers was able to put their hand on an admin credentials and move from campus to the data center and sleep inside it. So what we can see is the average dwell time of the attack, like the 99 days, and having those attackers are undetected for this period of time actually is too much. And nobody can leverage that. And we can see from the inefficiencies that we have nowadays that causes this average dwell time. It's not only the visibility gap that me and Ammar was talking about. So absolutely, visibility gap is major problem to attacker surface and attackers techniques, but also there was different things happening as well. It's like affecting this dwell time, which is the alert fatigue and the false positive, where nowadays there is a lot of platforms that is creating so much noise that will not give you a clear signal to the attack itself. So actually, the actual signal is buried under a lot of noise. Plus the no event log and the no context approach. There is a lot of platforms nowadays that doesn't give you context, and we have a big problem as well is in the prioritizations approach. It's focusing nowadays on single events, and one of the major problems as well is the resources. So the resources turnover and the staff turnover and the junior resources themselves, this is all affecting the attack dwell time at the end, and at the end of the day, the business itself. That's why when we are talking about the detection and response, mainly here we are talking about an approach, and that's why nowadays we can see there is an increased focus on detection and response, and this is where Gartner was talking about. Actually, prevention absolutely is an important approach, but prevention is focusing on the node, right? Prevention is like firewalls, WAF solutions, sandboxing, all of this very important, but not enough. Our problem is the unknown. Our problem is the long attack dwell time. So in the detection and response approach, on the detection part, what we'd like to do is we'd like to detect the signal of the attackers very early, so we can actually stop the attackers before they can do damage. And this is what we want to do, right? I mean, I'm talking about now as an approach, regardless of the NDR platform, but I'm talking about on how or what exactly we want. So after we have that clear signal, we can easily go and start our incident response approach, forensics, or our response itself that we want to do. It depends on what we exactly detected. So if the more noise I have, the more gaps I have in detections, I will have, I might need to do a lot of response that will waste my time, etc., etc., etc. So that's why it's very important in the detection part to have low noise, high fidelity, and behavioral based approach to complement the prevention and close the security gap. So actually we achieve the best security posture part of our security operations approach. So for this detection approach, we heard Ammar talking about the SOC Triad, where Gartner was mentioning in the SOC Triad that network-centric approaches to threat detection and response is very important nowadays, and this is what we are missing. And actually, those three tools that Ammar was talking about, it's actually the SIEM, the EDR, and the NDR will complement each other, part of the detection and response approach that I was talking about in the previous slide. So to see how this centric approach will work together, we can see that this is the SOC operational workflow for the SOC visibility triad. And we can see that the EDR and NDR supposed to cover my attack surface, supposed to cover my attackers' techniques, and prioritize those incidents and send it to the SIEM. So actually, the SIEM itself, it's not just a log aggregator, and the SIEM is more than this. I mean, actually, the SIEM can be used it is actually a data lake that can be used as a multi-tenant platform for threat hunting, where in the endpoint and network level, we do visibility and detection. We prioritize those detections, and we send it to the SIEM for correlation and analytics. However, when we are talking about Vectra as an NDR technology, by sending our high fidelity detections to the SIEM, we are actually maximizing the efficiency of the SIEM itself. We are enhancing the SOC workflow of the security team by giving you the high fidelity and lower noise. So we actually save time, resources, and at the end of the day have quality time to do a quality response. So after we have this, all-centric approach to the SOC Triad, if you have, source solution, this will be a very, very important approach to coordinate for coordinations and response as well. That will help us in some playbox use cases, some muscle actions, integrations with NAC firewalls or endpoints as well. So talking about deeply on the network detection and response approach that we have in Vectra, we heard Ammar was talking about the 3 modules or the 4 modules that we have. And to move forward to the live demo, allow me to explain here our platform. So the name of the platform is Cognito. And Cognito platform, it is our NDR platform. And Cognito is depending on capturing the raw traffic and the traffic that is related to my attack surface for cloud users, data center, on the same platform, on the same dashboards. And the main idea here is, the way we do that is after we capturing this raw traffic, we are distilling the metadata that is focused on cybersecurity. That's why we really focus on the cybersecurity related metadata that equals 200 times less than the road traffic. And after we capture this metadata of the road traffic, we enrich or we security enrich this metadata with attributes like host ID or privilege. And by doing so, we are having a metadata that is 200 times less than the road traffic, which is scalable. And we have a security enriched metadata, which is very user friendly. And actually, at the end of the day, I can use it in multiple use cases in our Cognito platform. So as Ammar was saying, and we can see that in our live demo, Cognito Recall and Stream are designed to store this metadata historically, either on the cloud like Recall or on-prem using a Stream. And by doing so, I am having a historical record of all my metadata, so I can use it for historical forensics, retrospective analysis, or some compliance use cases, like I want to know who is using weak server ciphers, or weak client ciphers, or SMB version 1. So I can use it for different use cases, like, as I said, forensics, compliance, or even you can use it to build your own models. So you own your metadata. You are not limited to Vectra box. You can have the retention that you want. You can correlate this metadata with other sources of data in the SIEM or the data lake. So you have the flexibility to build your own custom models within your interest of your business. Now, this is very important actually, right? But also one of the most important things for us as security analysts and security team, part of our SOC approach, is the starting points, right? If I want to do investigation, I want always to have a starting point. And if the starting points are noisy, I'm wasting my time, as we said, right? Plus the gaps. So if I'm having a signal that is not there, even no signal, no event log, I'm lost, right? It's a gap. I'm blind. So what we do is we use Cognito Detect, part of Cognito platform, to actually detect the attacker's behaviors across the network kill chain and prioritize it in a way that will give a clear signal to the security analyst. And this is actually will decrease the mean time to detect and maximize the signal to noise ratio. So it saves time, it saves efforts, it saves resources. So my team will have high fidelity starting points from Cognito Detect, and then I can go to the metadata to see the full storyline either from Stream or from Recall. The same thing for Cognito Detect, it's actually for network, but also we have Cognito Detect for Office 365, where we cover the attack surface of the, we cover the SaaS kill chain of the Office 365, and we can see some details in the upcoming slides itself. One of the important things that Ammar mentioned, that Vectra is not only an NDR platform. Our DNA is based on security research and data science. And this is very important when it comes to NDR, because having a very mature approach and very specialized approach with the experience that we have is with using the security research team, we are able to identify the attacker's behaviors. And nowadays, we cover actually 97% of the MITRE attack framework. And with the data science as well, we are building those models where this metadata, as we said, we have security enriched metadata, and we are using AI actually to enrich this metadata. Now, this is how we built our platform, and this is our DNA of the way we do the way we built our platform. Now let me just focus on the platform itself. Let me deep dive a little bit in Cognito Detect and some details about the metadata, so we can jump to the live demo. Now for Cognito Detect itself, Cognito Detect actually, as we said, it is designed to eliminate the noise and focusing on the attacker's behaviors across the kill chain. So what we do is we are our platform is focusing on the network kill chain, and for each part of the kill chain, we are focusing on the attacker's techniques that they can use to do the command and control, for example. So for external remote access, it's a behavioral algorithm that is built using a supervised approach. And this algorithm will address the behavior when there is any external adversary is accessing or controlling an internal machine or internal host, regardless of the tools that was used. Because, as we said, our problem is the 0 days, and attackers may use 0 days tools or 0 day malwares or rats or 0 day exploits, but the behavior is the same. So by focusing on such behaviors, to build the attacker's techniques across to address the attacker's techniques across the kill chain, we are having, and with this 97%, we are having really an algorithm that is focusing literally on the behaviors. So it will allow us to find the known and the unknown that is already bypassed the prevention. And those detections that we have are very high fidelity and low noise and signatureless. The same thing actually for the kill chain of the SaaS. So for Microsoft 365, we built the attackers' behaviors across the SaaS kill chain of the 365, where our data science and security research are building specialized algorithms addressing those behaviors and building specialized algorithm for each and single behavior, which will help us to find the attackers quickly and start doing our response and stopping the attackers before they can do damage. Now, our models, actually, our kind of detections, as we said, it's purely behavioral, and it's focusing on the progress of the attackers. So, as we said, what we lack nowadays is the sense of prioritization. And the current approach is actually, in the industry, it's focusing on a single event prioritization. And this is actually a failed approach. And it was an approach that is really failed in the past. It was insufficient and not enough to find the signal area. And this is how we do it better in Vectra. Instead of focusing on single events, we fire the detections, we capture, the traffic, we try to find attackers' behaviors. This is in Cognito Detect, actually. And we are giving a score for each detection based on similar activities over the time. However, we correlate those detections to host and account perspective. Because the host and the account, those are my attack surface, right? Could be a printer, could be an IoT device, or could be an account that is compromised. So by giving a score to host and account perspective based on the combinations over the time, I am focusing on actually the progression of the attackers based on this host and accounts, right? And if there is multiple hosts are participating on the same attack, we have a notion called an attack campaign, and this attack campaign is actually correlating all the hosts that is participating on the same attack. So it gives you a bird's eye on the attack surface. It gives you a bird's eye on the hosts that is trying to use trying to be part of this attack. So you have a proactive visibility, so you can stop the attackers before a real damage is happening. And this is how Cognito Detect works, actually. It's high fidelity detections, prioritize it based on a progression. And actually, one of the most important notes here, that the way we do this prioritization, we are also hiring the AI to do this prioritization. So as a conclusion to that, Ammar was showing some examples to some organizations. And this is another example, a quick one, and we can jump to the live demo, is for 200,000 hosts, we analyze it in 30 days. Instead of showing you 30,000 events flagged, this is noisy. We are talking about 1,000 events per day that nobody can handle, even if those 1,000 events per day was prioritized. Now, what we do on Vectra, and the job of AI here, is to separate the signal of attackers' behaviors from the noise. So the detections that was considered as an attacker behavior, the detections that was having a progression as an attacker, was 1,249 detections. Those are the high fidelity signals that I must focus on as a security team. I don't want to see noise. And by prioritizing that per host, so those 1,000 detections was on 600 hosts, where those 600 hosts was prioritized to 63 critical detection in 30 days. So here we are talking about 2 critical detections, 2 critical hosts every day that needs an immediate attention and an immediate response. And this will show you the power of AI to automate, to separate the signal from noise, and give me a starting point. Now, the main question is this the full story of the attack? It's not actually. It is just the starting point. And this is what I want, right? I want a platform to alert me clearly on what is going on. Once I have that signal clear, without the need of security team, I can jump to a Cognito recall or Cognito stream to find the full story. And by doing so, I am decreasing the mean time to detect. I am having a quality time to do a quality response. And also with the metadata, I'm decreasing the mean time to respond. So if I have the starting point from Cognito Detect here, I can jump to the metadata, I can jump to the EDR, I can jump to the SIM, so I can really leverage the current tools in doing my response efficiently. And this is the beauty of how SOC Triad will work together, and this is the beauty on how we add fidelity to the platform. Now, I was talking about Cognito Stream and Cognito Recall and storing the metadata historically. Cognito Stream and Cognito Recall will be used, as we were discussing, to store the full metadata regardless of the detections. So whether there is a behavior or there is no behavior in the traffic, we store its metadata historically, so I can go back in the time and understand what's going on or use it for different use cases. Now, the interesting point here to mention is this metadata is cybersecurity focused. This is just examples here. And what we do is on this metadata is we do enrichment to it, like host context enrichment, account context enrichment, and connection context enrichment. This makes the metadata very user-friendly and actually fast to be and used in a friendly way and in a fast way for the use cases that is needed. And those kind of enrichment will be also usually statically derived, machine learning derived, or externally derived. Now, the major important point here, all what we are mentioning is happening from the same platform, natively, plug and play implementation. It doesn't really need any workload to implement or operate or to make it work. It is literally giving us the traffic that is needed, and with some integrations with quick integration with Active Directory, you will have a full platform, NDR platform, with a full visibility on what is going on. I think Ammar was already talking about the eco-partners integration. So we have a very open API. It's not just an API. We are having a lot of native plug-and-play integrations with NAC solutions, firewalls, SIM solutions, and SOAR as well, and EDRs. And this is the way we want to do it. And there is kind of integrations that is native, and in general, we have a pretty much open API that can help you to achieve the business goals with integrating with the existing security teams that you have. I will stop here actually and move to the live demo. But the main point here to mention is that the platform is giving you a 360-degree visibility in all your attack surface, whether it's related to users, data center, remote locations, or cloud, whether we are talking about infrastructure as a service or SaaS cloud. And this is all from the same dashboards, so you can have a full visibility and with the lower operational cost in your team. Now, actually, I will stop here to make things more practical. I will move to a 10-minute live demo that will show us the power of the metadata and how we can use our platform to detect and respond to the attackers faster. Perfect. So what I have now, actually, what we can see now, it's I'm so sorry. Perfect. So what we can see now is it's the detection platform. It's Cognito Detect platform, and this Cognito Detect platform, what we can see now is the host dashboard, and this host dashboard is used to to detect and respond to the attacks itself, and it will allow us. I'm so sorry, by the way. Okay, perfect. This is the host dashboard, and this host dashboard is supposed to be my starting point as a security analyst. And what we can see here, we can see that this dashboard and those dots actually are hosts, and those hosts could be printer, could be CCTV camera, could be server, could be anything. And what we can see in this dashboard that it is two-dimensional. It has two-dimensional scoring based on certainty and threat score. And this scoring is from 0 to 99. We can see from 0 to 99. And any host that has a threat and certainty score above 50, it will be considered as critical. The most important point here is when the host has more progression as an attacker techniques, as behaviors, we can see that this host is moving from low to the critical, or from low to medium, or from medium to critical. But the main goal here is this dashboard is supposed to be the starting point of the security analyst, where I will start focusing on the critical hosts, where those critical hosts are the most hosts that has the most attackers' behaviors progression in my network. It's actually the most risky hosts in your network. And this will give your security team a notion on where to start first by prioritizing that attack surface based on the progression. Now let us take an example to one of the hosts that was under attack. So I can filter per critical hosts. I can click here on any host and I can see some details and I can open it. Also, what I can do is I can click on any host here. Let me pick Piper Desktop, for example. Perfect. So from this critical quadrant, I picked one of the critical hosts, so we analyze it further. And as we see, that was a clear signal for me that this host was critical. And when I started with this host, the first thing that we can notice that this host is the dashboard itself, it's based on host ID, host name, not just per IP address, which is very important. We can notice also the threat uncertainty score. We can notice that there is some actions can be taken. And also we can notice on the left side some host context. So we can see some like the IP address, the observed privilege, and the last seen date, some information. It will show you some details from some EDR solutions like Microsoft ATP or CrowdStrike. Also, what we can see is that this host is participating in a campaign. This is very important. And what we can see also is that this host is also, we can see the attack phases of that host, and we can see the kill chain phases that this host was participating in. And this is very important, where our platform is reconstructing the kill chain phases of the hosts in your network automatically. And what we can see here is that there is detections, there is behaviors happened, and the most important point that for each and single detection, which is behavioral model, a behavior, each detection has its own threat and uncertainty score as well. So the combination of behaviors that happened on that host Based on that progression, based on that behavior, based on those threat uncertainty score, we are deciding the threat uncertainty score of the host, and we are deciding if this host is critical or high or medium or low. And this will help a lot in amplifying the signal to noise ratio, right? And we can see that this host was a clearly critical host based on its progression. An important point as well to mention that we would like not just to prioritize that for you and not just decreasing the noise, we also would like to give you a context about this host from what we saw in the network. So we can see the last 10 unique accounts, the last 10 unique services on that host, access or get access to that from that host, the Active Directory context. We can see the host ID artifacts like the Piper desktop. We know it's Piper desktop from Kerberos. We have some VMware native integration, CrowdStrike, and also Microsoft Defender. By giving this context and giving this dashboard that is designed to be easily used while a real attack is happening. So by moving easily from the critical quadrant, opening the host, I can see that this host has some detections. And we saw that this host was having participating in a campaign. Before going to some detections, let us see the campaign that was happening. So there is other hosts that was participating with this host doing the same command and control. It's actually the same external adversary. So if we open the campaign, we can see that there was 2 campaigns. Let us choose this one, where we can see that Piper desktop, our host, was doing a command and control with this external IP and moved laterally to other Decon desktop hosts and to other and moved laterally from on-prem to the cloud, where the domain controller was in the AWS instance. And we can see that there is 3 other hosts is participating on this case. And the important point here, before even we find this campaign, it was very interesting that if you go back to the host itself, to Piper, we can see that there was a lateral movement. And we can see in this lateral movement that the target was Decon desktop. And if you open that host, Decon desktop, we can see that Decon desktop was targeting also the domain controller. And this was all mapped from this lateral movement. We can see that this is all mapped. Now, before even going to do any further investigation, and even before the attack campaign, the most important note here that we were able to find 2 hosts in the critical quadrant as a clear signal to me, as a clear starting point. So now I know that there is something wrong happening, and now I can start my incident response very early without the noise, without the need of manual work. So I can simply stop this attack before it is expanded to the domain controller or before it's expanded to the to other attack surface. And mainly this machine was, if we look into that, this machine was a Piper desktop. It was there was an email phishing attempt, and it was actually opened a malicious link, and this link was targeting to this command and control server where a command and control tunnel was established, and the attacker get the first hand on that machine. Then the attacker would like to expand the foothold by moving to Decon desktop and to the domain controller. And this was obvious again on the attack campaign that we saw. And the interesting point here that we can see that in this place, when the attacker was on the domain controller, we saw that there was file share enumeration activity happening on the domain controller. If we open this detection, we can see that This file share enumeration behavior was happening from the domain controller and targeting 5 internal targets. One of them was enumerating 119 files. So if you open it, we can see the account that was used to enumerate, and we can see the name of the files that was enumerated. The beautiful thing here that we jumped from the critical quadrant in one click. We open the host. A second click, we open the detection, where we can see for each detection its context. One of the important things as well, there was the notion for host context, the details, so we understand what is the host, right? What is it? It will help me to drive my response. Also, the same thing for detection. Each detection we give you context. There is a question mark here. You can click. It will show you what is the triggers of this behavior, what is the possible root cause, what is the business impact, and steps to verify, along with the MITRE attack techniques that is covered by this behavioral algorithm. This is all will empower your security analyst team or security team with the knowledge, with the context to understand what is this and what is the next step that I can do. And for each host, for each detection, I can see the PCAP, and this PCAP is a sample from the raw traffic around the time of the detection. It will be stored historically in Cognito Detect platform for 6 months. So everything we are talking about now, it is all Cognito Detect that is designed to give me a clear signal for the attacker progression in my network. And the notion of host that we were talking about and the host dashboard, we have the same notion for account. So if you click on the account, you can see this is the account dashboard. And if you drill down, or in this quadrant, you can see that some of those accounts are local accounts, related to the domain. And there is some Office 365 account. So this shows you also the power of the platform to correlate everything together. So you have the full visibility and the bird's eye understanding to what is going on. Now, let me take an example of the accounts. This is just an example, like the CJ at corp.example.com. So if there is a compromised account, if there is an account that is stolen, and this account attackers was trying to use it on multiple internal hosts, let's say the attacker was trying to use it on, let's say 5 internal hosts, and instead of doing manual correlation and understanding which host this account was working on, what is the behaviors, what is the combination of those behaviors, we all correlate that on the same dashboard. So you start from the account that has the most risky behaviors in your network. And the interesting thing is here, yes, with the details, we give you Active Directory context and much more than this as well, but this is just a live demo. We have also the Active Directory account look down. And this actually feature, it is natively done with the Active Directory. It is just a 1-minute integration where you can manually disable this account, or in somewhere in the settings, you can define a trigger saying, if there is any account was critical, please lock down this account from the Active Directory. And why this is important? Because instead of blocking 10 servers or 5 servers or machines, and instead of disrupting my business operation, I will surgically stop and lock down the account that is doing that bad behavior. So I'm having a unique approach here to eliminate the bad behavior instead of disrupting my business operation. And this is one of the things that we have. And this is actually Cognito Detect. Now let us just go one step back to the domain controller that we were having as an example. If I want, this is, as I said, Cognito Detect, right? But now if I want to investigate further, I want to know historically, what was the connections and what was the activities that was done on the domain controller during the time of this detection. What I can do is I can go to investigate incognito recall, I click on that, which is from the detection. I can click on Cognito Recall, and it will open me the host dashboard, which is the domain controller dashboard, in the Cognito Recall, which is the full historical metadata that can be used for forensics. And I can see this is the timestamp here, around the time of the detection. I can see historically what is the connections to external domains, all the internal connections, all the Kerberos and NTLM connections, RPC, remote procedure calls, which is very important nowadays, the HTTP records, destinations, the user agents, etc., etc. I can also historically click a quick last 7 days, and it will bring me all the historical metadata related to the last 7 days. Oops, I'm so sorry. It looks like this is okay. It's working now. So I can historically see what this domain controller was doing. Now let us dig deep. For example, we noticed that this domain controller, this attacker, was enumerating some files. But what if I want to do forensics on the SMB level? I want to see in details what is the files that, all the files that the attacker was trying to enumerate. And this can give me some clue on what was the attacker trying to search for. So if I jumped back to Cognito Recall from the dashboard of this host, I can filter per domain controller, my domain controller. I can pin it here. So I am the origin host name, you can see it, it's per domain controller, regardless of the IP address. I can go and discover more. So if I click discover here, I can open a table, one of the tables that we built. Actually, it was just a suggestion, but we can open a table that is related to SMB file table. And I can see historically now from this table, regardless of the detections, I can see all the activities that was done over the SMB in the last 30 days by my domain controller, which was actually the attacker name. Okay, I can see the timestamp, I can see the session ID, I can see the origin host name with its IP address, the response host name with its IP address. I can see the port, I can see the version, I can see it's SMB version 1, so this is a big question mark. I can see the path of the file, the action that was done, and the name of the file. And this will give me a clear understanding to what exactly the attacker was trying to search for. And this can even give me a clue to that this attacker maybe was searching for things related to sales files, or to things related to my intellectual property, etc., etc. This is just this was just a quick example on one of the detections that we have, but actually it's more than this. So let me just give you another quick example, which is actually we can go. I would like to investigate further on what was the user agents used by all my network. I want to do manual forensics or manual threat hunting. So let me, for example, I can pick and choose the right metadata. So I want to dig deep dive in HTTP metadata. Okay. So in the last 30 days, sorry. It's actually a table that was created. You can always control it and play with it. And what I want, I can see on the left side, this is the HTTP metadata, and this is the attributes that is related to this metadata. What I'm looking for is the user agent. So what I want to search for is all the hosts. I want to see the origin host name. I want to see the ID response host as an example. I want to see the URI. So in quick clicks, I am creating my table, and I want to see the user agents. Now, the interesting thing that I want to filter for the PowerShell user agent. So I want to know if there is anyone in my network was using the PowerShell as a user agent. So for example, you can type it manually, or you can even do it you can do it by just clicking on the search itself. So you can see by just searching for the user agent PowerShell, I'm quickly having an understanding on retrospectively who was using PowerShell in my network. And this is very important because this will give me the quick visibility. We can see that instead of depending on full PCAP solutions, that is creating a big data problem, very expensive, very slow, not user-friendly. The value that you can get from the metadata is actually 96%, but it's much, much faster, much user-friendly and scalable. It's not just forensics, actually. You can deep dive on any metadata you want. You can build any use case you want in your mind, but you can use it for use cases related, for example, to SMB version 1. So we built some dashboards here that is native that can shows you, for example, we have something related to Vectra security assessment, and this can shows you some use cases related to if there is RDP servers exposed externally, if there is SMB servers exposed externally, you can see how many servers they have, SMB version 1, for example, if there is some NetBIOS responders active, if there is some weak server ciphers or client ciphers, if you have some FTTP clients. So this dashboard is just a suggestion. It will give you some compliance use cases to see some interesting stuff. But again, the capability of the platform is more than this. The other last example that I want to show you is also you can use this metadata to see some exploits like the net login, the zero login exploit that was announced by Microsoft recently. So in Vectra, we have some modules, custom modules that we created that will show you who in your network will have a potential net login exploit attempts, so you can have the visibility on that and you are aware of it. And at the end of the day, all of this, all what I showed to you, it can be sent to the SIEM. So you have a centric approach from the SOC Triad, where you enrich the SIEM with the detections and the AI and the metadata. The main goal here is to enhance the security posture in terms of visibility, enhance the security posture in terms of automating the SOC and enhancing the SOC workflow for a better detection, for a better mean time to detect and a better mean time to respond. So simply, we can stop attackers before they can do damage. I hope this has been informative for you, and I would like to thank you very much for watching this. Thank you.